shares with folks that, they ask him about his career, it's not a straight path. And so I preface that with, for me personally, my path hasn't been straight. I actually started off as a teacher. You mentioned educator. I do teach at Collin College now, which has been rewarding. And but I started as a high school teacher, thinking I was going to reapply to medical school. But I started working, and I was recruited by a pharmaceutical company that ended up moving me to Texas. So I started off with Merck. So I'm not going to go like career by career. If you want me to do that, that's fine. But I don't know, how the time is. But
yeah,
go ahead.
You don't step by step.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just give it industry wide, right? So I started in the pharmaceutical industry and really enjoyed it. And what was interesting is that the time I started, it was, in terms of diversity and representation of Blacks in the industry, is very, very minimal. So I find I was fortunate to be able to land a nice job with Merck, and that started my sales career trajectory. So I transitioned from large company, pharmaceutical company, to a small company because I wanted to touch I have a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit in me, that the smaller company gave me that venue and giving me the opportunity to have a larger area, touch a broader, more diverse or different types of physicians. So that I started dealing with surgeons and things of that nature. And then that company paid for me to go to graduate school. And as I was finishing graduate school, Johnson & Johnson recruited me because there wasn't enough diversity in the management team at Johnson & Johnson at the time. So I embarked on that opportunity because it gave me, Johnson & Johnson is, been over 100 years now, 110 years, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And afforded me the opportunity to get into the medical device space that, so I'm a science. So it's funny when people see that I'm in sales, I'm actually a scientist. Like, my degree is biology. so I'm not your typical sales guy. Right. And but J&J played into that. I still love the science and the clinical. I love we talked about healthcare and such with medicine. So I was able to deal with surgeons at this point. And that was a very nice and rewarding opportunity. And as I got deeper into my career as within the medical device space, I started to see that the industry was shifting. So, in sales, when people think sales, I want to share this because it's a misnomer. It's not just selling someone a product. As a salesperson, a good salesperson is a consultant. You have to know some degree of psychology. You got to know a fair amount of business. And for me, my adage of sales is, I'm a problem solver. If I help you alleviate a problem, I don't have to sell you anything. You're going to buy something from me because I'm helping you alleviate that problem. And so with the industry started transitioning, I mentioned GPO earlier. So the GPO had a stronghold on all products that were disseminated with hospitals and so forth. So I saw the industry changing and I said, look, I need to transition into the corporate accounts piece. And basically corporate accounts means if you as an organization have a contract, a favorable contract, then now you can do business with a broader scope of hospitals or healthcare professionals. So I mentioned that meandering of a career. So pharmaceutical, medical device, transition to the GPO space, and as well as software. So I got kind of killed two birds. I got to healthcare software in my interaction with the GPO. I mentioned earlier that healthcare moves very, very slowly. Here's a good analogy I always use. We are able to fly, across the country in 11 hours, but in healthcare, we're still faxing information. You don't get your insurance bill for three weeks, right? I mean, so it's very slow to adopt, and I see the need for change and transition in healthcare. So my career, pharmaceutical, medical device, GPO software, and now I am actually, I'm negotiating big contracts for large healthcare systems. So there's some things happening. I'll share with you kind of offline that, in terms of transition, that's not public yet, but I will let you know that. So, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a good place to ask the question that as a strategist, as we tap into your strategist mind that you're great at, where do you see the future of healthcare going with all of the healthcare technological shifts? You mentioned the word shift, and at this, especially as we journey through this season of COVID, where do you see healthcare going in the next few years?
So what you mentioned, the pandemic has accelerated the adoption of remote and telehealth care. Particularly, you see a lot of everything is moving away from the acute care or hospital setting, more so to home health. I was on a call today, and we had the executives with the one of the divisions he was mentioning how organically the home healthcare market is just growing organically, because care is moving away from the hospital, more so to the outpatient setting as well as the home setting. So I think in terms of trends, you're going to see an increase in more integration of healthcare IT, telehealth. You're going to see more integration, because a lot of systems, from a system piece, they can't talk. So you're going to see a lot more integration from a clinical standpoint, from an operational standpoint, and more centralization of healthcare systems. You have big, large systems now. You're in Atlanta. I can't think of there's a couple of big systems in Atlanta, but you probably nationwide you have 600 IDNs. So about 150 integrated delivery networks, meaning that these systems go from owning not just hospitals, but they own surgery centers, physician office groups. Some of these large systems have their own health care plans. So you're starting to see this merger of the insurance, the healthcare plans, and all of these things coming together to have one big conglomerate. So you think about a company like United Health, which is one of the largest insurance providers. A lot of these systems are partnering with these big insurance companies to have their own kind of innate insurance plans. So here's what's happening. So a hospital, when you're born, they're trying to keep you till you die. So if you're in their insurance plan, you go to this one doctor, and then for that one doctor, for whatever ailment you have, they're going to share care. And you started to see how to go to this specialist and that specialist. Well, everybody's talking now. Everybody, you see the EHR, electronic health record. That's the last 10 years. It's taken healthcare 1 million years to adopt that. But care is starting to merge. So you're going to see everything merging together, and it's already happening. A lot of these systems are buying up home health agencies. They're buying up smaller IDNs to control costs, and then to have what they call more patients under management. So that's kind of where it's, from what I'm seeing and from what I've been studying and just watching the trends over the last few years.
It's amazing information and insight for the audience listening in. One thing I would like to ask is, for the new generation now that are in medical school, medical profession, what advice would you give them, being that you've been in the industry for so long? What would be, as a leader, what would you say to them in regards to making sure they're navigating their path in a way of passion, as opposed to just chasing the dollar or taking a position just for the dollar?
Yeah. That's funny because we all want to earn a living. We want to earn a decent living. I think that particularly, I'll take your question kind of twofold. Like there's the generation. I like the generation, the newer millennial, because they have a different perspective on work. I don't think the adage of like staying with a company for 30 years and ascending a ladder. I mean, you have different pockets of people who want to achieve different things. I think it's all individual. I think you really have to define how you as an individual want to live your life. Like you have choices.
I love that.
And I think you have to make that choice. You have to be honest with yourself. I think you have to really look, granted, the dollar, it's kind of like chasing wind. I mean, you keep chasing dollars. I mean, it's never going to be enough. So there's a point where you have to say, you know what, this is what I'm happy with doing. And you won't always get it right the first, second, or third time, but as you start experiencing, at least having having some type of plan. It doesn't have to be exact because, nothing happens exact. That's why I was talking about the meandering of a career. It's not a straight line. You might take a step back to make 4 steps, a leap positive or forward, but really embody, what do you like? Who are you? Like, know who you are. And then you embark upon that. Like, I like the new, look at it. We have the gig economy, right? I mean, you have folks I was in a meeting, an operations meeting, and they were talking about they can't keep, it was like the ages 30 and under, people are not interested in the full time. They want to come to work at certain times. I mean, and you got to respect the gig economy. I mean, you have gaming, you have all these different ways of earning. So I just go back to make sure you have the skill sets. Like, don't be I believe in freelance, but make sure you have the skill sets and make sure you know exactly what you want to do. And that obviously what you're doing, what you do or what you embark upon has to be viable to earn a decent wage. So long gone are the days of stay at a company 30 years and there's no pension anymore.
Yeah.
That's gone away. But yeah, be true to yourself and don't be scared to take chances and take calculated risk, I would say.
Yeah. So as a leader, what did you learn most about you professionally in COVID and also personally, as we're 5 minutes to close out the segment?
Professionally and personally with COVID, be able to adjust, be adaptable. I think I knew I was adaptable, but COVID really forced us to really change some of our habits. I think, I've actually thrived in the pandemic. I mean, personally, I started, I used to, when we mentioned health as well. So I probably spent at least 3 days a week in the gym. So when COVID happened, all of that shut down. So I adapted. Like I started running outside more and doing more calisthenic and body weight exercises. And so I think this pandemic has taught me to be adaptable, be flexible, be able to change and not so much. It doesn't always have to be exact. I was like regimen. I got to go to gym Monday, Tuesday, Friday. When that happened, okay, I got to change my regimen. So it was fun. I mean, I learned a lot about myself and new ways of experiencing this existence. So adaptability was my big thing. Yep.
That's awesome. So we are now at the close of the segment, and I would like for you to encourage in your own way present leaders, present fathers, present healthcare workers with the word of inspiration.
I know you put me on the spot with inspiration. It's funny. Look, I would say that, first of all, hats off and thanks to all of the healthcare workers putting themselves out at risk with